Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to episode 28 of Dialogue Tree. My name is Daniel Padilla, and I am, as always, joined by my wonderful friend Matthew, Sports Talk Football.
Good evening.
God damn it. God damn it. Hold on. No, dude, I need to do this shit again. I need to do this.
That was a good take. All right. Whatever.
Right. I feel like now I need to get it out of me, though, because otherwise I won't stop laughing. Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to episode 28 of Dialogue Tree. My name is Daniel Padilla, and I am, as always, joined by my wonderful friend Matthew, Sports Talk Football 93 star. God damn it.
Good evening. It's good to be here.
I can't say it, dude. All right.
How are you doing, Daniel?
Okay, Matthew, Sports Talk Football 93 featuring Joe Montana.
Oh, dude.
I can't say that, dude. I thought it would be really funny, but I can't say it.
No, it was really funny. It's a hard sentence to take seriously, right?
Oh, shit. All right. Damn it. All right.
Give up.
There's no way this is going to work, dude.
Oh, we just got to start the episode, man.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to episode 28 of Dialogue Tree. My name is Daniel Padilla, and I am, as always, joined by my wonderful friend Matthew, Sports Talk Football 93, starring Joe Montana Peterson.
Hello. You absolutely nailed that intro. Thank you.
Hell yeah. So
Very good nickname.
I don't know how much of this is actually going to go into the episode, but I just had a crisis trying to read that nickname out loud. I attempted like 6 times, and I just could not get it. I could not say the whole thing without fucking bursting in laughter.
No, it's a funny nickname.
I did it.
Being a football player named Joe Montana is like such an American. It's like the most American you can be.
Joe and Montana, you're right. Is that even his real name? That can't be his real name, dude.
I don't know.
Like on his birth certificate, that can't be. Anyway, you played that game, haven't you?
Yeah, dude. It's actually pretty fun. I played it with Robbie Franklin, and Robbie like somehow knew. Like I guess Robbie is such a big sports fan that he like knew the roster of the '93 football teams.
No,
and it was. He knows what's going on because he's like a football fan, and I was just like there, confused, trying to like figure out how to play the game itself.
Right.
But it was a fun time. It's good for what it is, and the best part is there's a dedicated button to. I guess it calls a timeout, but it's like the Ask Joe Montana for Advice button.
No way.
But sometimes he'll just be like, "Sorry, I don't have any advice," and you waste time out.
Really? But is that just like random, or is it under certain circumstances?
I have no idea if there's an algorithm, or I don't think I even know enough about football to tell you if the advice is good.
Right.
I just know sometimes there's no advice,
and you just wasted time out. Yeah, that's unlucky.
Yeah.
So his name is Joseph Clifford Montana Jr.
Oh my God, that's the hell.
His last name is Montana,
which means he's also the second.
Oh right, yeah, you're right. There is another Joseph Clifford. Holy shit! I wonder if the first Joseph Clifford also went by Joe Montana.
I would.
Yeah, right. What the fuck's going on with your life, Matthew Peterson? What's going on, dude?
I mean, I don't know. It's the same thing every day, right? Like,
all right, yeah.
I guess the most exciting thing I've done recently is I watched a movie online with like Cam and some other people, a Miyazaki movie called The Crimson Pig, Porco Rosso. Which I guess that's Italian for it. It's super weird, and like especially about women is very weird, I would say. Okay. But it's well animated. I guess.
Okay, they're supposed to take place in like back in the 40s, so I guess that's
the structure of the narrative is very strange, but it's not bad. And I don't know what part, because the dub was kind of bad, so I don't know like
Uh,
what was lost in translation, if
yeah,
any,
right.
uh, along with that. But
Where
yeah, I enjoyed it.
where in the Miyazaki timeline does this fall on? Like earlier, later?
I'll just look it up so we don't look like assholes. No, it was a while ago. This is 1992.
Really, dude? Holy shit! Because I remember Spirited Away. Is it at least Spirited Away? I know came out in like 2003, 2004, just about.
Okay, maybe I misinterpreted what Megan said about this, because she said that this was the precursor to his last movie because it's
Whatever the
about
fuck that means.
aviation. But I thought
Oh,
that meant it was directly before it. I guess that's
okay,
not what that
okay.
meant.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, I guess it's one of the earlier ones.
Okay, cool. Cool, cool.
It
Interesting.
was good though.
Excellent. Yeah, here we're starting to get some rain, which is nice. I've spoken in the pod before about how the city just kind of changes when it rains. You know, like the smog kind of goes away and color
Yeah,
just kind of comes back slowly into the city. So that's nice. And also like the heat is significantly improved. Like it just gets a lot cooler when we get the May rain. So it's been very pleasant this week. It's cool because I get to hang out in the porch when it rains, so just I can just like listen and watch the rainfall, which is just super relaxing. You
yeah,
know,
that's always nice.
that's the weather segment of today's episode.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been talking to myself more, I guess, just out
What
of
is
like
that?
craziness.
Like, do you actually have like conversations with yourself, or you just say shit out loud that you would
No, I
otherwise?
just is like thinking out loud, which I
Right,
don't
right,
normally do.
right, right, right.
I don't normally feel compelled.
No, I mean that makes sense. I also just kind of prefer to have interactions over, like telephone as opposed to because all most of like my goddamn social interactions these days take place in like my goddamn phone screen, which is fucking
Yeah,
exhausting after a while. You know what I mean? Because you're looking at this tiny screen and your eyes get strained and whatever.
yeah,
So I do appreciate doing this. Even if we are recording and whatever, it is like kind of interaction that I prefer. I've also been recording with my buddy Yulun. Shout out to him.
I
I don't
saw
know if
that. Yeah,
yeah, I don't know if he's a listener of the pod. But regardless, we've been recording some let's plays with him, and that's been a good time. And that's also cool because we get to like talk to each other while we do that. So those have been like kind of like my most refreshing interactions this week. I
right. Yeah,
also I was also able to leave the house yesterday. Yesterday being Thursday, May 14th. Just for reference, because this won't come out like today or tomorrow. This episode. I got to leave the house yesterday for the first time since March 14th, dog.
that's insane.
Yeah, it was some
Holy
shit.
crap!
So I don't know if I've talked on the pod about the measures that the Honduran government is taking regarding fucking the virus.
I think you mentioned it like at the beginning, like 2 months ago. But if you want to reiterate,
Yeah, yeah, just as a refresher. So what they're doing is they used to do this thing where like you're only allowed to transit if on certain days, depending on the last digit of your ID number. So a few weeks ago, there would be two digits that were allowed to transit every day, right? So for example, Monday was 1 and 2, and then Friday was 9 and 0, and then everything in between. But cases started rising because we started testing more. We got more testing equipment, so like more tests are taking place. And so, of course, naturally, the more people you test, the more tests are going to come out positive, right? And so
yeah.
numbers started increasing a little bit exponentially. So they even reduced the amount of people that can transit that are allowed to transit every day to just one digit. So like I
So
would
it's
have been
once
able,
every 10 days, right?
yeah, 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 and because even the weekends don't count, so it's basically once every.
Oh, so it's once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I was looking forward to going out last Thursday, which is when I would have usually been able to go out, or last Friday, which is when I would have usually been able to go out because you should have been 9 and 0. But since they did that shit where you can only have one digit transit every day a couple of weeks ago, then I was only allowed to transit yesterday. Um, so I did, right? I felt like I needed it.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed to just see something different. And I did have coffee to go buy. I didn't have any more coffee beans here at the house. And that just made me sad. I don't think I'm necessarily dependent on coffee, but it is something that I enjoy doing. You know what I mean? As in like, I enjoy taking the time to like grind the beans and like boil the water and wait for it to cook, wait for it to extract on the French press and whatever. Like it's a process that I enjoy, right?
Yeah.
So not having my coffee beans was something that was making me kind of sad because I just couldn't take the time off my day to make a nice cup of coffee. So I went to do that, and I bought a couple other grocery things at places where you could just do drive-through kind of shopping, you know.
Yeah.
But even then, it was exhausting because I just, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what is safe and what not. So you just kind of want to be as safe as possible. By which I mean, whenever I did any transaction and like I gave them my card and they gave it back to me and whatever, I spray the car with fucking disinfectant just because
Right.
I figure I can't be too safe. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was just weird, right? Because like it was nice to drive around. It was nice to see other shit, and it was also nice because there wasn't a lot of traffic like there usually is in this goddamn city. But it was also like as soon as I got back home, I jumped into the pool under my dad's request so that I guess the chlorine would like neutralize the virus or
I
whatever,
don't know
just
if
in
that's
case.
medically sound, but okay.
I don't know. Yeah, it made my parents feel a little bit better, so I just whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I jumped in the pool with like the clothes that I was wearing and whatever. And then I showered. And as soon as I was done with my shower, like I just felt exhausted, dude. Like the exhaustion just kind of fell on me like a bag of fucking bricks. You know what I mean? Just because even though driving around was nice, I guess it was kind of tense at the same time. And maybe at the moment I didn't quite feel it. I only felt it afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's brutal. That's so strict.
Yeah, I don't know how strict it is, right? As much as I drove around, I only saw like one police traffic stop, and that I didn't see anyone get stopped, right? And so I don't know how strict it is, but I guess I just don't want to risk it. Number
Yeah.
one, I don't want to risk it. I don't want to risk getting like fucked up by the police. Number two, I don't really want to be leaving the house all that often anyway. But I guess one last point that I wanted to make about a little adventure that I had yesterday was it was kind of eerie because there's still like a bunch of like billboards and big posters around the city for events that were scheduled for around this time, which you know
Oh, yeah.
evidently never actually took place. So it was just
Yeah.
eerie to see these billboards still up.
And no
You
one's
know,
around to take them down.
yeah, exactly. No one's been commissioned to take them down. I guess so. They're just
Yeah.
still up. There was a concert by this Mexican dude Marco Antonio Solis scheduled for March 19th, which is right about when all this shit started. And there were posters for that shit all over the place. There was also a poster for Birds of Prey, but I think that was just laziness because that shit came out in like January or February or whatever. So
They
whatever.
didn't sell the space yet.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
not
yeah,
that
that was
strict here at all. Like
yeah. How is it like?
some state, like Wyoming or Wisconsin, someone opened already here, and people are going out in Connecticut. They're talking about opening next week, and like even
What is
without being open,
what
uh,
does opening really mean? Like, what do you
opening
understand by
means, I guess, is legal for the businesses to be open.
that?
Like
Okay,
like you can operate a hair salon and like a dentist office and
and
you like follow the parameters of getting people's temperature beforehand or
okay,
whatever. But
okay.
people still just go outside. Like
Yeah,
the streets are pretty empty here, and I can just bike for like miles, and just be in like the middle of the road and not have to worry about anything. But there's a lot of people around. I see when I do go out. Like today, it was so nice. There were just people like downtown. There's always
right.
like 20 neighborhood kids playing basketball at like the
Shit,
park or
dude.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not like gonna call the police on these kids
Of
playing
course.
basketball,
Whatever.
but it's not safe, to be honest.
And it makes you feel kind of funky, right?
Yeah, people will go out and people will just be like, "Oh well, the government said it's okay."
Right, and not really consider whether it's actually safe or not. They'll just say like, all right, government says it's fine, so fuck it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll go to the dentist since I already have an appointment whenever that comes around. But I just wait to get a haircut.
Ways would already be taking measures in terms of like cleanliness and shit like that anyway, right?
Yeah, they're I think they're like legally doctors.
Yeah, right.
But like I don't want to go to like the barber or I don't know, like a restaurant, yeah, or anything.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. It did also make me feel kind of funky seeing people out there without like their masks and shit like that. And just if they're by themselves, I guess whatever, right? Like I still think the issue right here is that I don't know. It's hard to tell whether people just don't have access to these kind of this kind of equipment, right?
Mhm.
Because resources, there's a lot of like poverty, so it's hard to tell whether these people just don't have access to the masks or if they just straight up just like refuse to wear them. You know what I mean? So this
Right.
is also kind of like an easy kind of thing to like think about.
And if you're like 6 feet away, it's not a big deal. But if you go to like the store, right?
Right.
Like if you're in a building with some other people, you should probably have it.
Well, shit, dude. I did want to talk about something that I forgot to mention last week. Last week I was
It's gonna be
supposed to
the
talk
oatmeal.
about. Yeah, of course, dude. Last week I was supposed to talk about the oatmeal, as we usually do, often as we often do in the show. So I sent you a picture a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
remember.
my brother, he of course lives with his wife, and his wife will often message me like a bunch of like my brother's random antics, right? And so like one night she just messaged me this picture of a bowl of oatmeal and like a package of Chips Ahoy, right? And she was all like, "Would you consume this?" And I'm like, "I don't." I guess so. So yeah, what she was trying to tell me is that my brother was having oatmeal with Chips Ahoy, and she was telling me how my brother was like super into it, right? Like it's fucking delicious. Would you want to try some and whatever? He was like really like he was like really going on about it, right? And
Right.
I guess she wanted to ask me how I felt about it, and like I told her, I like oatmeal and I like Chips Ahoy. I don't necessarily think that I would be opposed to the combination. I just also don't think that I'm rushing to try it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think you could just put sugar and chocolate chips in your oatmeal, and then your oatmeal will like not be all weirdly crunchy, but it will taste the same. Because just the way it
Weirdly
looks,
crunchy.
I don't know from the picture, it like looked weird to me.
All right. Elaborate. Why? How so?
Just the combination of those two foods with like the Chips Ahoy packaging didn't look right to me.
It's also a thing. All right. So, because I sent this, of course, this is a matter of high importance to me. So, I of course sent this picture around to a bunch of like different people to like
Yeah,
ask for their opinion. And what a lot of people said was that that oatmeal looks very very soupy, and I have to agree. I don't know what the
yeah,
thing what I don't know what the thing is with like soupy oatmeal in this household, but like my dad and my brother like to eat very very soupy oatmeal, which is not at all what I'm about. I like my oatmeal to be like a lot thicker,
firm.
right? Yeah, a lot firmer, a lot thicker. So a lot of people that was like the first thing that people noticed. Even they would even comment on that before they commented on the combination of oatmeal and Chips Ahoy.
Well, I assumed he had put extra milk because it had cookies in it. So then it's like a more traditional breakfast cereal. I mean, it's still weird, but that's what I assumed.
Right. Well, so I guess the consensus or the bottom line here is that you're not opposed to it.
No, I guess I'd try it, but I wouldn't think to make it even after this conversation.
Right. Right. Because you don't even like particularly like sweet cereal, right?
No, not really. Chips Ahoy are okay, but I wouldn't like buy Chips Ahoy anyways.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
they're fine.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think they're all right.
I definitely wouldn't want. I think there is a Chips Ahoy cereal, uh, which I wouldn't want.
Are you thinking about Cookie Crisp?
No, I know Cookie Crisp is its own thing.
Okay. Okay.
I
Okay.
think there is like a Chips Ahoy branded cereal.
Which is like the same thing as Cookie Crisp, or is like
Probably, right? Like it can't be too different.
I'm just asking you because I don't think that I've ever seen this. So like I'm asking you in your brain if this looks
Oh,
like
okay.
like kind of more
Yeah, let me
chocolate
let me
chip
just
cookie.
look up if I'm insane. I might just be like, yeah, it's like it kind of looks like a Chex Mix thing. It's just like a blue package and it says Chips Ahoy original
Okay.
cereal, and they look like those little cookies from Cookie Crisp. They're just like little
Oh,
circle
okay.
cookies. Yeah,
Right, right. And what the fuck's the point? I guess. All right, whatever.
it's going on like
Yeah.
eBay, so maybe it's like limited. Like it failed
Oh,
horribly. I don't
right,
know.
right,
Anyways,
right. No. So I guess what I would say is, I think I'm on that boat, right? Like I would try it, but I don't think I necessarily want to try it. I like my oatmeal, not necessarily like I'll stick a spoonful of fucking like peanut butter in there, which is kind of sweet, I guess. But like
yeah,
I do that for more for like the sake of like adding a little bit more protein to it than for like the actual like sweetness of the protein, sweetness
right.
of the peanut. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I've even had chocolate in my oatmeal, and I don't think that's weird to put in your oatmeal before you put the hot water on it, and then it like it
Have it
becomes
melt.
mixed in. Yeah,
That actually sounds super pleasant. Having a little bit of like dark chocolate in there. Hell
yeah, it
yeah.
wasn't bad.
Shit, I want to do that shit now.
Go for it.
Yeah, I don't think we have any kind of like chocolate. That actually sounds really fucking good. Dudes. Okay, so this is not something that I had planned talk about, but it's kind of like developing as we're talking. So I have this group chat with my buddies who were also RAs when we were back in college. There's like three of us in the group chat. We were all RAs at the same time. And this dude just messaged group chat saying like, "Oh, I just had a random RA member."
By the way, RA is what, room advisor for everyone who doesn't know.
Yeah, resident advisor, resident assistant, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Those dudes who like walk around the residential buildings and colleges making sure that policy is not being broken and whatever. The other dude asks like, "What's up?" And he says, "Remember when there was that one person who was Airbnb-ing their residential room at Clark?" Yeah. So this apparently happened in fucking Blackstone. That's fucking weird. I don't think I ever heard
That's
about that.
crazy. Yeah, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. So this dude
Gotta be illegal.
yeah, the other dude remembered that. He was like, "This was in my building." He said, "When I was just to transfer, I think someone switched, or they saw someone in like their 40s around the building." Oh my man, who would even think to do that, dog? You know what I mean? Like, how would you?
I don't know, an entrepreneur, I guess.
Yeah, how do you? How do you, in your right mind, think that you're not gonna get caught if you're
Right, I
letting
guess, yeah.
someone who doesn't look like they belong in that resident? You know
And
what I
like
mean? Like
there's
if you have
cameras. I guess if you did it for like a
a
weekend,
day,
right? Yeah, like
yeah,
maybe. Because then you could just be like, oh yeah, it's my uncle.
uncle or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Right. He's my Gus. So yeah, yeah,
That's funny. That's weird.
yeah. It's fucking weird.
All right. The only other thing I've written down is I've been thinking about how like messed up, I guess specifically English, but just the way any language like reads and speaks, it's just so messed up. It's so inconsistent and random. Like everything in language is just a bunch of arbitrary bullshit, and it makes it so hard to get into a language, right? Like I never think about how messed up English is because it like comes naturally to me when I
Yeah,
use it. But when
yeah.
I look at like Japanese and all the messed up things in Japanese, then I'm like, oh, this
Well,
is
why?
messed up. And I'm like, yeah, this is stupid. But then I'm like, oh, wait, English is equally, if not more, illogical uh,
Right.
than it is. So I can't really complain. It's just how like culture is and how humans communicate, I guess. But it's
Yeah,
weird, right?
and I guess just like logic too. You know what I mean? It's just like certain people from certain places just think in a particular certain way just because of where they are at, right? Like
Yeah.
the way that they think to communicate is just entirely different. You know what I mean? So they will just have these little arbitrary, like you said, these little arbitrary bullshit little things that'll just just get ingrained in language and just that's what it is, I guess.
I think irregular verbs are particularly messed up. Like, why would you ever
What?
change? Like, there's a specific pattern that these words follow. Why would you do that?
Right, right. Just like the fact that they have to be called irregular verbs, right? Like
Yeah,
it just straight up tells you that like and like who is regulating this that says like yeah irregular verbs they just have to you know what I mean like who is regulating this they just can't be like you know what yeah just like fuck irregular verbs and they just make them regular. That's so true, dude.
but it's
That
not
is
even inevitable. Japanese it doesn't even have. There's two irregular verbs in Japanese, and they teach you at the beginning so you know, and everything else is regular. But if you go to
okay.
English, it's like, oh, I defeated the enemy, right? I defeat the enemy. I defeated
Yeah,
them. I beat the enemy. I beat them. It's it's like what the hell is going on?
yeah, like why does it have to be like that, that makes
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. And it is I guess I never really thought about that, right? Like why can't be beated in the
beat
past
it.
tense in the
Yeah,
way that right. That's fucking
I don't
weird.
know.
You're so
It's
right.
just one of those things, and I don't think there's a way to like correct it, right? Like it's too late for everyone.
Right. I guess just to add on to this, we're big fans of some of the angry video game nerds material. At least I
Yeah,
still
yeah, I like
follow
him.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched his
So
new video yesterday
see
or
the
whatever.
did you see the one about the this is bullshit whatever?
There's like 20 of those, dude.
Oh no, but like the recent one, there's one that came out like a couple of weeks ago, I think, about the words bi-monthly and bi-weekly.
Oh yeah, I did.
So what the fuck is up with? Did you know that? Did you? Okay, so what the
I
angry
guess
video
I
game nerd?
did. Yeah, why don't you explain the video? Yeah.
Yeah, no. What the angry video game nerd was talking about in this video was the fact that okay, so he goes on saying that like during quarantine or whatever they're thinking about bringing the another segment into their channel, the this is bullshit or whatever it's called. And so
Yeah.
like with the producers, they were talking about doing it bi-weekly or bi-monthly, and like they were like, all right, what the fuck does bi-monthly mean? Do you mean twice a month, or do you mean once every 2 months? And then they looked it up in the dictionary, and it means both things. In the actual English dictionary, bi-monthly means once every 2 months and twice a month. So like,
Yeah, it sucks.
what even is the purpose of this word if we're just gonna have to like explain yourself anyway? You know what I mean? Like, what is the purpose of the existence of this word? I feel like at that point it
Yeah.
just becomes a lot more practical to just say, all right, let's do it every 2 months instead of saying
Every
trying to.
every fortnight.
Yeah, right. And it's the same thing with biweekly. It's the same thing with biweekly.
Yeah.
Biweekly means both twice a week and once every 2 weeks.
I never thought about it, but I had used it at least
Both ways.
biweekly in both ways, and like I never was conscious about.
You know what the weirdest
Yeah.
you know what the weirdest thing about biweekly used and in once every 2 weeks is?
What?
I think it could be a synonym for bi-monthly, thinking about bi-monthly being twice a month, right?
Oh, I guess.
Yeah. God damn, dude. I hate this shit. That shit just provokes hate in my being. Yeah.
And people in school and like whatever, people say math is boring and they complain about math and stuff. But I think in things like math and logic and computer science, there's a great elegance in the consistency and
Yeah.
fact that everything makes sense and it adds up. You know, as math, it just is written in a way that everything works and is
Right.
logical for you to follow.
Right. And it may be hard to like understand and to get into it, but like once you do, it all just straight up makes sense and it is what it is and it will never change.
Right.
Do you have anything else? I don't know. Do you want to add to this or something else? I don't
No, I was just thinking about it because I was like annoyed that
know.
the days of the month in Japanese are the way they are, because the first 10 days are different. And then, like, you would just say the 11th of the month in English, right?
Okay, yeah.
And we'd
Okay,
say
I
that
can
in
see it.
Japanese too. But there's this specific word for every
Everything
day
from one to
between the 1
10.
and 10. Yeah.
That's fucking interesting, dude.
It's a lot of unnecessary memorization, right?
Right. A similar thing, kind of similar thing happens with Portuguese. So the way, so for example, Monday in Portuguese is segunda-feira, which is like second day or some shit like that. And then Friday is sexta-feira. But then Saturday and Sunday, I don't quite remember I don't remember what the, let me see, just real quick. Saturday and Sunday have like their own words, right? It's not like the seventh day or the first day or whatever.
Right.
But then Monday is segunda-feira. So you don't even have like a first day. It just starts in like
Yeah.
second day,
It's just
right?
second day.
So like
That is weird.
why? And if you're gonna call like the days of the work week by like their sequential number or whatever, why don't you call the weekend days by like their own sequential number as well? You
Yeah.
know, it's like
And
what the
it's just it's all historical reasons. Like the months are messed up too. We have October, November, and December, which are not in order because of
fuck, dude.
fucking Caesar and Augustus decided they had to have their own months, and everyone had to rewrite the whole calendar and like calculate when Easter was for the Pope and everything for the next 500 years, so they didn't mess it up.
Right. I don't think I had ever picked up on that, and if I had, I don't think I thought much about it. But you're totally right. September should be I guess the seventh month of the. Is it? That's not the seventh month of the. No,
No,
it's
I
not at
think
all.
people just don't talk about it because it's like it's tilting,
That's
right? It shouldn't
yeah.
be like
It
that.
just right. It just pisses you off. You're
Yeah,
right. Shit, dude. I wish you wouldn't have brought any of this shit up. Now I'm pissed off.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess language is just like a reflection of the culture and history around places, and it's always going to be more messed up than something like scientific that's agreed upon.
Yeah. That's a good point to make, dude. I have a couple other things that I don't know if they're all that interesting, but because we shat on the Amazing Spider-Man 2 a few weeks ago,
Oh yeah,
and
dude.
I had another comment to make, not about the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but about the Amazing Spider-Man 1,
Oh okay.
which is because I've watched a lot of videos of people on YouTube like shitting on both of these movies because it really makes me laugh. Like I think it's really entertaining because these
Yeah,
movies,
yeah,
I think they're both pretty objectively bad. But
yeah.
one thing that I've found that no one really talks about, and I don't know if you remember this. This is on the in the first Amazing Spider-Man. there's this one point where like fucking Spider-Man has to get to Oscorp, and for whatever reason, like he has some obstacles or whatever. He won't be able to make it in time. And so what happens is that there just happens to be one straight road from wherever Spider-Man is that leads directly to Oscorp. So what they do is that a bunch of like construction workers,
They get the cranes.
right. I hate the fact that Spider-Man just happens to be, I guess New York, right? I guess New York is just naturally arranged in such a way where like one street could literally just go straight towards a certain place, I
Right.
suppose. I guess that makes sense. But like what pisses me off is that there just happens to be enough cranes in this road that Spider-Man needs to take straight to Oscorp, where construction workers or whatever can operate these cranes to like so that Spider-Man can fucking shoot his web and web sling all the way to, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. And I mean,
how
I
is
get that
that
Spider-Man is supposed to be like his true power is his bond with the people and they'll like stand up for him. But like, how do the construction workers know he's there and needs to get to Oscorp in this like very
right,
convoluted way? You know what I mean? Like, how
right,
do they
right.
understand the situation?
And how did they all happen to be there? And how did
And why
there
are they
happen
operating the cranes? Isn't there like a
yeah.
bomb? There's a bomb. It's gonna kill everyone.
Why are there so many cranes? Why are there so many buildings in this one particular street under some kind of construction, under some kind of physical kind of work being done onto them? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that shit always pissed me off, even from the first time that I saw that movie way back in like 2010 or whenever the fuck it came out. And I
And
just don't
doesn't
understand why no one seems to talk about this shit. You know what I
isn't there
mean?
this whole I know it's super stupid, but now am I remembering this correctly? Like Willem Dafoe dies and like Peter keeps seeing his ghost. Uh
Oh, this is a Dennis Leary. They do look
Dennis
alike
Leary
though.
dies. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Peter keeps seeing his ghost, and the ghost is like telling him to not go
Oh
near
my
the
fucking
daughter,
god! Don't
and
even
then
tell me. Don't
and then
even
he
bring
learns
this
his
up.
lesson, right? And at the end,
Yeah.
he's like, I've come to terms with who I am, and that it will hurt people around me, and I understand why he like sacrificed himself to protect his daughter, and I'll respect his wishes. And then the
Right.
ending of the movie, he just ignores all that after like learning
Yeah.
this lesson, and he just goes with her, and it's
And
like,
this is
what was the point?
right. This is another detail of this one movie that also pissed me off. That I can guarantee you that pissed me off, and I can tell you that it pissed me off from the first time that I watched that movie because I have not watched it very many times. I think I watched it maybe one other time that they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
showing it on HBO or whatever one morning. I was like, all right, whatever. What the fuck else better do I have to watch? It? You know, whatever, right? So like, I picked up on this when I was like fucking I don't know, like 16 years old. That like all right, so like Dennis Leary dies, and then there's still like 10 or 15 minutes more of the movie after the villain is destroyed or whatever, killed, of Peter realizing this bullshit that you're talking about, like his lesson with Dennis Leary and his daughter and whatever. And in the end, he just fucking goes with her. So like the movie
Yeah.
could have just skipped all of that and be exactly the same. And I just don't understand who thought any of this was a good idea.
Yeah, he
God
didn't need
damn.
to die. He didn't need to be a character in the movie. Like,
You're right. Shit, dude. God awful fucking movies, man.
funny though. I think funny
But yeah,
bad.
you're right. You're right. They are entertaining to. I think they're at least entertaining to watch to like shit on
Yeah, the New York accent is awesome.
them. Right. Right. And it just I don't know. I guess it kind of pissed me off. I guess it kind of pissed me off way back in the day because I had friends who like watched it and they would like insist that it's better than like the Sam Raimi movies, which like whatever, right? If it's your preference, that's fine. But
I
like
might
you
prefer
know,
them over the Sam Raimi movie.
no, not, but not. I mean, yeah, but like, I guess what I'm saying is like, I'm a big fan of the Sam Raimi movies, but I can also objectively tell you that like, there's a lot of shit in them that just sucks, right? Like Mary Jane
Yeah.
and all those movies is just like a really awful fucking character. But like, these dudes seem to like objectively not only to prefer it because whatever you know personal preference, but like they seem to argue that it was like that the Amazing Spider-Man movies were objectively better than the Sam Raimi movies.
No, yeah. I think they're objectively worse.
I know, dude. I think they're objectively just bad movies in general, not even in comparison to Sam Raimi. Just like as
Right.
movies, they just fall apart
Right. They're
on
very
their own.
poorly made.
Yeah. And it just pissed
Yeah.
me off because it seems like they preferred these movies just because, you know, it was around the time when the fucking the Dark Knight movies were still kind of hot. So like seeing a take on Spider-Man in movies that was kind of darker or whatever, kind of like was a lot closer in tone to the Dark Knight movies, and so they just like associated that with like being inherently better or whatever, right? But it just I don't know, it just fucking pissed me off.
Yeah, super forgettable, especially the first one, which I guess I've seen
Right.
the second one more recently, but like honestly, you just dredged up the memory by like describing that scene. But those two things I said is literally all I remember
Right,
from
right,
anything that happens. I can't remember anything else. I remember he's so old that they're supposed to be in high school, and
right.
he's like 30, dude. He's so tall and buff.
Yeah, right. Just like fucking like handsome too, right? Just like cool.
Yeah,
It just doesn't
he's
make
like an
sense.
adult male actor.
Just doesn't fucking make sense. Yeah, so I've had this on my notes for a long time, but then like the episode after the episode where we talk about the Amazing Spider-Man 2, we had Nick Kirshner, and so I feel like it didn't quite make a lot of sense to like talk about this with him because he wasn't
Yeah, I
present in
get
the
that.
previous episode, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I did want to bring it up because it's fucking infuriating. God damn.
Oh man.
Dude, you want to try calling this asshole?
Oh yeah, that's not very much context. For context, it's Spencer Biddle's birthday.
I'm gonna call Madeline. I'm gonna try calling Madeline. Can you hear this? But he won't be
Yeah,
able to
I
hear
can
you.
hear it. Okay, well you can relay the message because it will be really.
Is this Spencer Peterson Biddle?
Yeah, Madeline, what's up?
Matthew has an important message for you, dude.
Oh,
Matthew,
okay.
I have to relay it to you though, because I have my headphones on. But Matthew says, "Happy birthday! Tell us who Bilbo is."
Dude, I don't know who Bilbo is.
Damn it!
Total mystery.
Matthew says, "Damn it." Well,
Yeah, honestly.
dude, we're recording the 20th episode of Dialogue Tree, and it just happens to be your birthday today, so we wanted to take a second of our show to call you and commemorate your birthday and celebrate with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's celebrate.
Happy birthday, dog!
Thank you.
How's your stupid day going?
A stupid day.
Yeah.
We just played a bunch of Smash.
No
which
way.
Was a good after
nice.
meal. Yeah, finisher.
Matthew says that's nice, and I agree.
I don't know.
How have you performed?
Excellent. Top of the pack.
Good.
Yeah, it was weird. Smash 4. Smash. What's it called? Hell, Ultimate.
Dude,
It's funky.
Matthew is requesting that I get you to agree that Bilbo is a name that you would use on Discord.
I'm not convinced.
You're not sure that you
There's
would?
not even an argument here.
What is your argument, Matthew? Okay, so Matthew says that he believes that neither you or Madeline are involved in this Bilbo thing. Like he believes it, but like, my God, I'm sorry. Shit, that was rancid. I'm sorry. But no. When he first saw this Bilbo thing, his brain immediately assumed that it would be either you or Madeline. I guess he wants you. I guess he wants you to agree that like it at least sounds like something you and or Madeline would do.
I'm not sure. Sure.
I guess just let to nowhere, Matthew.
I'm sorry. I think it's classic Spencer.
Spencer even said it in like the same tone that he said it before too. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. I haven't been moved one way or another.
Well, shit, dude. Yeah, we just wanted to call you and wish you a happy birthday on air. It's too bad that you can't hear Matthew.
Yeah.
I didn't think about a more practical way to do this. We could all have a little conversation. But yeah, man, happy fucking birthday. Too bad that we're all going through all this quarantine bullshit.
Yeah, we've been diaspora'd.
Yeah. So it's too bad that we can't I don't know, hang out or whatever. Not that I'm I realize that I'm like 4,000 miles away, but I don't know.
Only 4,000.
Is there anything that you want to tell our audience today before we end the segment?
Yeah, there is. Listen, everybody out there, I am not Bilbo, and I will never be Bilbo. It ain't me. It ain't my type.
And it's not Madeline either.
I just love that we didn't even call Spencer. We called her.
Yeah, we called her.
I'm not sure.
Well,
He just happened to pick up, which was perfect.
Yeah. Well, shit, dude. Yeah, man. Happy birthday. Big hug. Hope you have a good time. We appreciate you, though.
We'll see you later.
You too. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, dog. All right. Peace out.
That worked out so well.
Yeah.
What good timing.
All right, dude. Do you have any closing remarks or anything you wanna plug?
I really like that video I sent you in WhatsApp. You probably didn't watch it because I sent it like right before this, but it's steamed hams in the style of a really poorly dubbed anime from the 90s. So they've gone and re-recorded steamed hams in Japanese and then poorly translated back into English as like an ironic statement about the poor fans translation of the 90s. And it's pretty good. It's pretty funny. It's well made. I would recommend it.
That is excellent, man. I didn't see it. I didn't see it when you sent it, but I am very much looking forward to give it a watch because it sounds excellent.
I love that steamed hams is still around. It's
dude.
Such a good clip.
Can I just say that is, genuinely one of the best like comedy bits that I've ever seen in television in general ever. Yeah. I think it actually is good. Fucking clever, fucking genius, all about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. Even if you don't watch The Simpsons, you could still watch it, right?
Yeah, and it'll still be really fucking. Maybe having like a little context of who Skinner is and what a loser he is in general.
Yeah, I guess.
But that's basically all you need to know, right? He's a loser.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. What have we learned today?
Time.
I don't know that we.
I mean, I've learned I actually subconsciously knew somewhat of the plot of Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 1, but it was it's just so forgotten in the depths of my memory. But that's impressive that I think that's impressive that I even recalled that with a prompt. The power of the human mind is staggering.
Yep.
What are we using it for to talk about The Amazing Spider-Man 1?
God damn it, dog. I guess I remember a couple of things. I learned about like the system of naming days in Japanese. I learned at least how it works, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. I also learned, maybe not necessarily out of a conversation that you and I were having, but just something that I learned while we were recording. I learned that at some point at Clark, there was someone Airbnb-ing their room.
I also learned that.
Yeah.
That is an insane plan.
Yeah. There is one tiny development that I want to bring up before we close the show.
Yeah, I guess to mention, if it's not obvious from the episode, we did not figure out who Bilbo is yet.
Yeah, no, we have not figured out who Bilbo is yet.
But
Madeline Rose Doyle, who's of course a friend of the show, says, "What the fuck? I don't have a Discord. I am not a nerd. Nerd in all caps."
I didn't say that she was Bilbo. I just thought that if she had a Discord, Bilbo would be an appropriate name for her to choose, in my opinion.
Oh, you're right. I totally agree.
Join us next week where we interview Owen about different types of parasitic fungus that can infect moths in Honduras.
Oh, right. Yeah, that is something that we scheduled a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Well, shit, dude. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, dude, it was good. It was fun.
I guess I'll see you next week.
Of course.
Peace out.